as we know, we all saw the fight this weekend with Mike and Jake Paul. I got a point of view. I think everybody probably has a point of view on this particular fight over the weekend. I think that overall the lineup of the fights was dope. The lineup of the fights was decent. You know what I mean? I think it was good enough for what it was. Goyat versus what was the first guy name? Goyat versus Nunes. That was a cool fight. Goyat was throwing them hands, but he wasn't really, the power punches wasn't there. What y'all think? The power punches wasn't there. The I like the character behind it, but why did he have to hump him in the corner? That was corny. I think that was really corny, if you ask me. Like, see, like, and then if he would have did that for real, Nunes should have gave it to him at that point. It shouldn't have been no holding back. It shouldn't have been no playing around, quick, easy payday type thing. You see what I'm saying? You should have turned around and bust his head open. Because you're trying to humiliate me. You're trying to play me. Like, you don't hump me in a corner in no ring. You know what I mean? That's like trying to play with me. But at the same time, it is what it is. The fight moved on. Goyat won only because he was kind of landing more shots. He was landing more punches overall. And to me, it kind of was like it seemed like that fight was a little scripted because I think Nunes wasn't really like a real boxer, but Goyat is a boxer in India. So it was like, all right, it was all right. They had fun. It was decent. It was something to watch. I enjoyed the first fight. Actually, all of the fights leading up to Mike Tyson and the fight was decent. I think that the Barrios and Ramos fight was like one of the most competitive ones. And the ladies, they was getting it in, but the Ramos and Barrios fight, that actually was a close fight because they were going back and forth, trading punches. And I mean, if you saw it, we all saw it. And if you didn't see it, you have to go back and watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were actually getting it in. They were actually throwing hands. Really, they knocked each other down. Not really like a knockout, but kind of put each other back on a back foot type hits. Like, ooh, landing them, punching on him. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I think that what Jake Paul, let me say this. Let me pivot to this. Jake Paul being a new promoter with the MVP brand is actually a great idea. I mean, this guy is already worth a couple dollars, several $1,000,000, you know what I mean, multi-millions, whatever he worth. To put on fights and to put on promotional marketing advertisements over the time leading up to this fight was actually good for boxing overall, just overall. Now, yes, Jake Paul hasn't fought real fighters. Before I even get to that, let me go back to the Serrano and Taylor. They fight was very close, but like we all probably would agree, Amanda Serrano was robbed once again on this particular fight. The last fight they was getting in, that headbutt that cut open right there, that was so wide, like, ooh, it looked like it hurt. Ooh, it looked like it stung. That joint was open and just bleeding. So I know her vision on that right side was blurry. Taylor kept swinging at that eye. She kind of kept leading with her head too, on the headbutt side of things. We all saw it. And actually, the ref took off a point. She was doing a bunch of cheap shot stuff, with the head, and she still lost. And she was throwing more punches, landed more punches, had a better percentage, and still lost. If you look at the stats, it was there. I'm ready to pull them up right now, but she won that fight. There's no way Serrano lost against Taylor that particular fight. It was close. Like, we all watched it. They were getting it in. It was close, very close. I mean, neck and neck, throwing them, standing in the middle of the ring, throwing them, bang, 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 bang. But at the same time, it's kind of like they robbed Serrano this particular one. They robbed her again. They probably wanted to make sure they go into the third fight, so I think that's why they robbed her again, so it could be a good rematch the next time around. But I know the girl was upset, so it's kind of like, would you do another rematch yourself? Would you actually do a rematch after losing twice and knowing you got robbed twice? Like, would you actually do a rematch? You know, so I think that if she do a rematch and what Jake Paul is doing with his brand, the promotion company he's running, and they're trying to get females paid and females on the ticket and putting fighters together like they're doing, it's actually going to be lucrative for him, and it's going to help a lot of boxers on the come up that's looking to get with a promotion company to help them excel a lot faster. But it just seems like too scripted a little bit overall, the boxing matches that they are putting on, because Jake Paul's not really fighting real fighters. Like, he's fighting fighters that's like UFC guys. He's fighting fighters that's not like they social media public figures. They're not really uh um like real dedicated boxers. Like, and he actually got a little skill at this point. He actually can throw the hands, he got the footwork, he got the body type to actually get in the ring. He has the fundamentals. He's actually doing well as a fighter. But now, excuse me, it's time to test that with real fighters. What y'all think? You know what I mean? It's time to test that with real fighters, people who can really fight. Okay, and then now, so we all watched the fight once again. So he's fighting Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson looked at old. Mike Tyson looked at old. you know, he looked at like a pop in a ring. Just throwing his hands, trying to stay up. He don't have the 8-round stamina anymore. That's not the 1980s Mike Tyson. Everybody was so mesmerized. Mike going to knock him out. We talking a 27-year-old man versus a 50-year-old man. Now in the streets, Mike Tyson probably could throw them hands and knock a dude the fuck out like real quick. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, he still could lose because he's 58. But it was a good fight overall. I mean, Tyson went 8 rounds. I think Jake Paul, like we all saw, I think Jake Paul went. He kind of took it easy on him later in the rounds because he could have knocked Mike out. I think that he had enough combinations and enough landed punches that it started, dazing Mike. It seemed like Mike couldn't dip, he couldn't sway, he couldn't do none of his like moves. He had some moments of like energy, but overall he looked like an old man. He just looked like he wasn't. It looked kind of scripted overall. After a while, like it was a good fight, good payday. I think Mike Tyson made about 20 million. We talking about 20 million. $20 million to get in the ring. That's a couple dollars. You see what I mean? Fuck a couple dollars. That's actually great money. Just to, do two minutes per round. I think the 2 minutes per round is actually a good timeline that they're introducing. I think 2 minutes is good in terms of if you're trying to prevent concussions, different health issues that boxers typically probably experience over some years of fighting. 2 minute rounds is good, and it also helps with getting the fight over a lot sooner. Um, uh, Boxers being more competitive to knock you out or actually win a lot faster. It has some ups and downs, some pros and cons. I think the pros are like it's shorter on the brain of a fighter. It actually helps them. The cons and there's other pros as well, but quick cons. I would think that it's like some boxers it may not be enough time for them to get going because some boxers it takes a few minutes for them to like warm up and start throwing punches. You see what I'm saying? So some boxers may still need that 2.5 minutes as opposed to 2 minutes. But I like what Jake Paul did. I like that he gave Mike Tyson an opportunity to get on a big screen like that, and it was crazy because I like the fact that they did it on Netflix. Just from a businessman standpoint, doing it on Netflix was probably better than having it on pay-per-view. In so many ways. First of all, is less money. Pay-per-view probably $100, $150. Netflix is whatever your subscription is, $20, $25, whatever the subscription is now. I forgot. It just comes out for me as an auto pay thing. So I don't even think about what it is. So let's just say it's $15, $20. It's free. Not free, but you had to pay for the platform. I think that is actually a good thing too, because uh, you get tired of the movies that's on there, and for them to introduce sports, football, boxing, it's actually dope. If you ask me, to do it on Netflix, it was like on Netflix. That's actually a great idea, and it I think Netflix was crashing a couple times. Did y'all experience that? I had to like start over my I had to go in and out of the screen a couple of times because like I think it broke the system. Like it crashed the system a couple of times, but it was a dope thing. MVP Jake Paul. Is he the new king of boxing? No, I can't say he the new king of boxing because he ain't really put no work in, if you ask me. He didn't really put the work in with like real dedicated fighters. The Davises, the Stevenses, the Ryan Garcias, all of the top contenders right now. Like people that's really out here throwing hands, putting that work in. I ain't really see Jake Paul really get it in like that on some real shit. So to be honest with you, it's kind of like, all right, it's cute. You got 11 wins, 12 wins, but not really with people that's dedicated fighters. You're fighting MMA guys. They're not dedicated boxers. They're fighters, but they're not boxers. You're fighting social media guys early in your game. A basketball player, like that stuff don't count to me. Because I'm a fan of boxing, so those fighters don't really count. What y'all think? How y'all feel about it? Those fighters don't really count for me, but it's showing that you're working. It's showing that you're putting the work in, putting the time in, dedicating the those fights to learn, to grow. His boxing team. I know one of the old heads. I saw him the other day on the fight. Little shorter guy. I think his name was Jeff. I want to say, but part of his boxing team and uh, Jeff. He been training people for years. I remember crossing paths with him at like one of our jobs years ago. He was probably in and out, just like a as needed part time employee, just coming through, probably in between fights and stuff like that. But he has a good training team and team around him. So I think Jake Paul be able to get in the game and be a good fighter in a shorter amount of time when a lot of fighters start when they're like 6 or 7 and or teenagers or just young kids in general. You see what I mean? Or younger. He started in his 20s, but he's actually looking good. I think he need to start testing it with real boxers though, like real boxers, people that's throwing their hands. Come down out of heavyweight, drop back down to maybe lightweight, maybe middleweight, uh, like somewhere in that range, cruiser, middle, lightweight, somewhere in that range. Because he's too big for welterweight, so he's at a good pace, but he needs to fight real people, real fighters. So at the end of the day, what he was doing and how he was moving and how he's getting at this money, he getting at it, he putting people on, and everybody getting money, everybody eating. So that's the good thing. So let me know what y'all think. Put it in the comments. Subscribe, share. Let me know. I'm just giving my point of view on this fight. It was a good attraction, but Mike Tyson looked bad overall, and Jake Paul needs to now test his skill with new fighters. That's just my summary of it all. But at the end of the day, it was all decent. I think the girls probably had the best fight throughout the whole night, and then it was Barrios and Ramos. They probably had the top 2 fights of the night out of 4 fights. But tell me what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Leave it in the comments.